Hey guys, it's Bree. I just finished Alive by Scott Sigler. It's his new YA release, and it's been getting a little bit of a hype here on BookTube, and I thought I would talk about it. So, Alive is a YA novel, which is a little bit outside of my normal genre. I listened to it on audiobook. The woman who narrated it, Emma Galvin, is fantastic. Her voice and inflection and pacing throughout the entire thing was great. Unfortunately, I have a couple of problems with the story itself. So the story follows a group of teenagers who wake up in caskets. They have no memory of who they are or why they're there, what's going on. It's all a big mystery, and the more they start to explore the world around them, the worse and worse it seems. They're running into skeletons and they're stuck in this underground bunker, just trying to find a way out. They have no food, no water, and what's worse is that really they're only 12 years old. Each of the characters wakes up thinking it's their 12th birthday when in reality they are basically post-pubescent, almost adults. It's an interesting kind of story, and I wasn't really sure that I was going to like it or not. The first half of the book is very much a YA dystopian. The main character is a girl named M Savage. All they really know is their first initial and their last name. That's all they know about themselves. And that they have this symbol right here on their forehead, which they don't know what the symbol means either. They're primarily just focused on trying to survive. The story is fast-paced and is fairly entertaining. My problem had a lot to do more with the characters than with the story itself, and the way that Sigler writes them and kind of develops their characters. I thought they were really flat. And for me, the part that I really had a hard time getting over was the idea that these 12-year-olds are using words like emaciated casually. I don't know about you, but I've never heard a 12-year-old say a butt. That a butt's another thing. The vocabulary is just really out of place. Which is interesting because a lot of the times the emotional level of the narration is what I would think would be appropriate for a panicked 12-year-old. So it was an interesting and a little bit disjointed approach to writing the story and to the actual narrative voice. It's written in a first-person perspective from M. Savage's point of view. She's kind of your typical YA dystopian main female character. She wakes up, she's in charge, she doesn't really know why she's in charge, isn't really kind of confident in herself, but it takes charge because basically she doesn't trust anybody else to do so. And it has the typical YA pitfalls: love triangle, flat characters all around, a preoccupation with the romantic plot, but that's a personal kind of pet peeve of mine in stories. I'm not big on romantic plot lines anyway. It's the best part of the story, in my point of view, is when the story takes a distinctly science fiction turn. So it's clearly a kind of a hand wavy science fiction, right? They wake up in these coffins, there are tubes connected to them, and they no longer remember anything. They know it's purposeful. They know that they've been hooked up into these kind of machines and stuff. But about halfway through the book, when the actual villain is introduced, Sigler takes it in a hard science fiction turn, and all of a sudden he's explaining physics and stuff to people, and I was just what happened? This is great. And I'm laughing because it's just something that I don't really see when I do read YA kind of science fiction. I just don't necessarily see those hints at hard science fiction, if you know what I mean. I don't see a lot of explanations of physics or chemistry or things like that I would expect out of an adult science fiction novel. And so that was really like, it took me for a turn. You know, for me, that was the highlight of the book. After the main villain gets introduced, it kind of is a little bit like, takes a more typical turn again. The villain is kind of what you would expect, fairly flat, not a whole ton of nuance to them. There's not a whole lot of clearly explained reasons for why this bad thing is happening to this group of teenagers. Not really a whole lot of attempt to make a complicated world-building situation. That being said, you know, like I said, the story itself is kind of like a so-so. And I was torn between how to feel about it, mostly because the language was just such a hang-up for me. If you wake up and you're 12 years old, I don't care that you're in a 17-year-old, 18-year-old's body, you are for sure not going to use the kind of language that we saw in Sigler's book. On the other hand, I thought the tone of it was right. You know, I liked the turns that he kind of took us down that I didn't really see coming, but on the other hand, the rest of the story was fairly flat and predictable. So it was hard for me to decide. I think it falls around a 2.5 for me, but it was enjoyable at the very least. And like I said earlier, Emma Galvin, who does the narration, is just fantastic. In fact, I think that really, if this had just been a little bit more developed as far as the story goes, in conjunction with her and her narration, it would have been just a choice work. So if you've read Alive by Scott Sigler, let me know what you think, because there are a lot of things that made me want to like it, but a lot of really significant things that made it so that I didn't. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it. I hope you're having a fantastic reading week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.